Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me. I was 38, broke and out of options, standing in front of a pair of iron gates in Boca Raton with a borrowed rake from the temp agency and my kid's backpack riding shotgun. 2 guys were already there, standing by the curb, like they'd been tipped off. I'd seen them twice before. They weren't cops. They were worse. Collectors tied to the mess my wife left behind. One of them tall with a smirk that made me want to swing the rake held a manila file with my last address circled in neon green. "You duck us again, Mike. We'll start calling the school," the tall one said like he was asking for cream in his coffee. Quick note before we continue, share in the comments which city or country you're listening from. It helps us see where you're tuning in from and figure out the best time to post new stories. Thanks. Now let's get into it. My gut dropped. Just the thought of Emily hearing that voice. I stepped forward, hands clenched. "I don't owe you a thing. My wife ran up those charges. My name ain't on anything and you know it." They didn't argue, just raised their phones, snapped a clean shot of my plates and stepped back like they'd already won. My hands were still shaking when the gate slid open behind me. Out walked Laura, barefoot on the driveway, slate gray dress, not a single hair out of place. She didn't rush, didn't flinch, just stood there, tall, calm, reading the whole situation in 3 seconds flat. She looked at the 2 creeps, then at me, then at the dented Chevy with the soccer ball rolling under the seat. I tried to speak, but my voice caught. "I'm Mike, the half-day gardener the agency sent." She didn't blink. "You'll start now full-time and you and your daughter will move into the guest house tonight. Paperwork, too." I blinked. "Wait, I thought it was a 15-hour contract." She cut me off. "The agency ran your background. I've read it." The tall collector stepped closer like he was going to say something. Laura turned her head just enough and said, polite but sharp, "Unless you'd like to speak with my attorney at a firm in Palm Beach, I suggest you leave now." They backed off fast, still taking pictures, still muttering about circling back, but they left. My shoulders dropped for the first time all week. My phone buzzed. Emily heart emoji texted, "We got this, Dad." Laura didn't waste time. She handed me a clipboard with a grounds map, greenhouse schedule, pool equipment log vendor list. Her voice stayed businesslike. "I'm a widow, 42. I run a yacht group. I need order." "I used to do logistics," I said. "Warehouse, coordination, inventory, choke point fixes, calendars, lists, that kind of thing." "Good," she said, tapping her watch. "Make this place run like a yard at sunrise." By the time I sat down to sign the W-4 and housing addendum by the pool cabana, the palms were swaying in the breeze and I could finally breathe again. Emily unpacked while I wiped down the counter. The guest house smelled like lemon polish and dry AC. She stuck her photo of the sparkly helmet to the fridge with a magnet shaped like a pelican, did a little spin, and said, "It feels safe." That was all I needed to hear. Outside dusk painted the main house in gold. I was locking up my toolbox when Tyler pulled up, music thumping hoodie up despite the heat. He had one of those tuned-up BMWs that made more noise than sense. He leaned on the hood and looked me over top to bottom. "You're the new lawn guy?" he asked, even though he knew full well who I was. "Looks like it," I said, locking the shed. He sniffed like gas fumes still clung to him. "Vanessa's coming, by the way he said it, half challenge, half heads up." I clocked it. Not a girlfriend. Not exactly. More like a live wire he didn't know how to cut. She showed up an hour later, moving with that entitled ease that filled the room. Heels clicked on the travertine perfume trailing behind her like neon smoke. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, and she barely nodded in my direction before turning to Tyler. "Your mom keep gate codes in the office?" she asked, like I wasn't standing 5 feet away. Tyler shrugged. "Maybe." I pretended not to hear, just walked the property with my notebook. Block schedules, equipment inventory vendor, overlaps, maintenance gaps. I saw problems everywhere. Tools out of date, no storm readiness kit, sprinklers a mess. I sketched out a 7-day plan right there under the floodlight behind the greenhouse. Laura walked past, didn't say a word, just tapped her finger once on the page and moved on. Dinner that night was on the back patio, just the 5 of us. Laura laid out the rules in under 2 minutes. No smoking, no unapproved guests after 10 huddles. Treat the staff and vendors like family. Bring problems early. Copy that, I said. I meant it. Emily listened close like she always did, soaking in the structure. At exactly 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzed from the app I'd linked to the greenhouse panel. Humidity drop, not just a spike a cliff. I rolled out of bed, pulled on boots, and jogged across the wet grass. One of the greenhouse valves was cracked wide, spewing water into the wrong line. The relay was shorting out. I could smell the plastic cooking. No way the backup would hold through morning. I ran back to the truck and grabbed a jumper I'd kept since my warehouse days. Bypassed the relay, locked the panel, and hit manual mist. Then I misted the orchids by hand, slow and steady for almost an hour. The frogs chirped in the dark, and the city buzzed somewhere in the distance like a dull hum in the back of your skull. At 4:20, Laura walked in holding a flashlight in one hand and 2 mugs of coffee in the other. No jacket, no panic, just that same calm like the world couldn't touch her unless she let it. "You didn't call," she said. "Didn't have time," I said, still holding the mist wand. She handed me a mug and for the first time smiled like it wasn't just polite. "Good instincts," she said, and walked out without another word. By breakfast, she'd bumped me from part-time help to grounds coordinator. Said it like she was discussing rainfall. Handed me a company card with a weekly limit. "Don't make me regret trusting you." Tyler heard the news before I even got to my second coffee. He was leaning against the kitchen island, peeling a banana like it insulted him. "Budget card?" he asked. "Comes with the job," I said, sipping my coffee. Vanessa wasn't far behind. She floated in wearing sunglasses indoors and zero makeup, which somehow looked even more staged. She sat on the edge of a bar stool and said to Tyler, "So, what's his weekly limit? Just wondering." I didn't answer, just logged the line in my head and moved on. Later that day, a guy with a clipboard showed up from across the canal. Rick Khakis golf shirt, HOA haircut. He pointed at the palms by the dock. "Fronds are casting shadow over my boat ramp. Could be a hazard." "Logged," I said, writing it down in my notebook without looking up. He waited for me to engage. I didn't. I just trimmed logged and moved on. Emily came bouncing up after school with a paperback in one hand and a question. "Can I plant sunflowers by the fence? There's that empty strip and it gets full light in the afternoon." "Yeah," I said. "Good drainage, too. Well, get soil this weekend." She nodded and skipped back inside. Something about that moment, the fact she was planning again, thinking ahead, it made the day land softer. That evening, I walked the west path and updated the ground cycle. Tyler passed me without speaking, engine revving like a warning. Vanessa wasn't far behind, tapping away on her phone, eyes always scanning for something to pocket or break. But Laura just stood on the upstairs balcony, hands in her pockets, watching the sun drop behind the palms. She didn't say anything. Didn't need to. The work was getting done. The property was turning sharp again. The pressure was on, but for once it wasn't just on me. I was in the garage sharpening loppers when my phone buzzed. Voicemail from a number I didn't know, but the voice I did. 72 hours. Mike. That's it. Tick-tock. I played it twice, saved it to a folder I'd already named harassment, then backed it up to the cloud. My warehouse job taught me the rules. Paper trail, timestamp, always back up. Doesn't matter if it's forklifts or felons. Documentation keeps you upright. Inside the main house, Tyler was going off about some coin drop app while Vanessa hovered near the office like it owed her rent. I pretended to mop the hallway tile, but watched her eyes catch the brass key tag on the pegboard. Office West, it read. Real smooth, not flashy, but she clocked it, didn't even blink. Laura's greenhouse had turned lush in just a couple weeks. New soil mix, drip timers, shade cloth adjustments. It was all humming. She'd stopped asking me to run orders by her before placing them. Trust or a test? Maybe both. I kept it clean. Meanwhile, Vanessa started working Tyler harder. Your mom tracks every dollar, she told him loud enough for me to hear while I cleaned a filter. What's her limit on outside vendors anyway? You ever seen her sign off on something big? Tyler brushed her off with a chuckle, but I saw his hand twitch at his hoodie strings. Back near the mower, Emily came walking over, holding her phone tight. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were too shiny. Dad. This just came in. It's her. I took the phone. It was a text from Amber, my wife, my runaway wife. The same one who vanished with $4,000 and left behind collector's pink slips and our daughter. Baby, I'm in trouble. Can you send me $260 on Cash App? Please, it's urgent. I handed the phone back. We're not sending a dime, I said clear and even. If she needs help, she can come here in daylight with ID in her hand. No more shadows. Emily nodded, lips pressed tight. She didn't cry, didn't argue, just turned back toward the guest house and pulled the door closed behind her. That's my girl. I walked straight to Laura's office, knocked once, then stepped in when she called. She was organizing shipping logs. Her fingers paused, but she didn't look up right away. Laura, I need to tell you something before it turns into a mess. It's personal, but it's coming up on your lawn. I told her all of it. The debt, the missing wife, the texts, the men who'd been circling like buzzards. Her arms folded tight across her chest, but her face stayed calm. Thank you, she said, for telling me before it blew up in my inbox. That night I was refilling seed trays in the shed when Vanessa came running across the gravel with Tyler 2 steps behind her. Mike, she called. Look what I found. She pointed at a rag on the potting bench. On top of it, conveniently angled, was the brass key labeled Office West. She backed up like it was a snake. This yours? Just lying out here. I didn't say a word. I grabbed my phone, snapped a photo with a tape measure next to it for scale, then stepped back. Laura. I called toward the main house. Need you out here for a sec? She arrived a minute later in her walking shoes, hands bare. I pointed. Vanessa stepped back like she expected applause. I just figured with all the guests lately, maybe Laura raised an eyebrow and grabbed a zip bag from her vest. She bagged the key without touching the metal. No questions, no drama. Thanks, I said. She didn't say anything back. Later, she logged the key in her ledger and put it in the office safe herself. I went to the pegboard and swapped the brass tag with a blank one. That way, if another copy showed up, it would scream. Next morning, Tyler cornered me by the pool pump while I was flushing the skimmer lines. You've been in the office? He asked, chin low. Nope. Just asking, 'cause the key was in your shed. Keys get legs, I said, not looking up, especially when people start chasing easy money. He blinked at that. Didn't answer. Just walked off toward the garage. By midday, Vanessa was planting seeds again, this time in Tyler's head. I heard her say Mike's playing the long game. He's got the free rent, the budget card. Safe's probably next. Tyler laughed like it was a joke, but when he turned to grab his phone, he glanced at me like maybe it wasn't. Emily decided to bake cookies after dinner. The guest house filled up with vanilla and sugar and hope. She carried a plate over to the main house and knocked on Laura's office door. Laura opened it, looked at the plate and said, I don't eat cookies. Emily smiled. That's fine. You can just hold them while you read. Laura smirked and took the plate. I watched her eat too while flipping through some legal paperwork. Emily has that effect. That afternoon I checked the door strike on the office. Loose again, the same one I'd flagged last week. I pulled out my screwdriver and tightened it down, extra firm this time. As I worked, I felt Vanessa watching me from the patio. Phone up. Could have been recording, could have been texting, could have been both. I kept my head down and finished the job. The next storm rolled in on a Wednesday. Not rain, something colder. That kind of silence you only feel when people have already made a move and are waiting to see if it lands. I was clearing out mulch bags by the compost bins when the pool guy flagged me down. Mid-30s, sunburned arms, way too proud of his mirrored shades. "You mess with the pump panel?" he asked, like he already had an answer. "Nope," I said, stacking bags. Well, someone did. Relay was flipped. "Override looks manual." I looked at him dead in the eye. "That panel's locked." I keyed it myself after the greenhouse valve cracked. "You need a key or a bolt cutter." He shrugged like it wasn't his problem. "Just saying what I saw." 10 minutes later, Vanessa made her entrance. Loud, dramatic, full of purpose. She walked right up to Laura on the front walkway where she was talking to one of her sales managers, a guy in a linen shirt with a clipboard and tired eyes. "Laura, the watch box is missing. The Omega, your husband's watch. It's gone." Laura barely looked up. "Where was it?" "In the office," Vanessa said, eyes wide. "Where else would it be?" "Rick." The clipboard clown from next door perked up like a terrier catching a steak smell. "Heirlooms, huh?" "That's serious." I kept walking, didn't break stride, head down, checklist in hand. I didn't play into scenes, not anymore. I was halfway to the truck when I heard her shout, "Oh, wow, it's here. It's in his truck." I turned. She was standing by the bed of my Chevy, one hand on the tarp, the other pointing like she was on a crime show. The walnut watch box was sitting on top of a coil of old rope. Tyler was behind her, frozen, like his body didn't know what to do. I didn't touch it, didn't move an inch. I pulled out my phone, took a clean shot with the time in the corner, then raised my voice just enough. "Laura, I need gloves and a zip bag. Bring your logbook, too." She was there in less than a minute, calm as always. Vanessa was pacing, looking back and forth like she wanted to perform shock, but hadn't rehearsed it. Laura snapped on gloves, sealed the box like she'd done it 100 times, and looked at me. "Photos," she asked. "Taken 7:12 a.m. this morning. Truck bed was empty. Got the timestamp right here." She nodded once and walked the bag straight into the office. Logged it, locked it. No lectures, no threats. When she came back out, her face didn't change. "Walk me through your morning," she said. "Woke up 5:45. Coffee. Checked the orchid mist cycles. Pool guy was here at 9:05. Gate log has it. You were on the patio with your tablet. I talked to the mulch delivery driver at 9:32. Receipt still in the glove box." She didn't interrupt, just listened. Gave one short nod, then walked off with the same quiet control she always carried. By noon, I saw her checking camera logs on her laptop. 2 blind spots popped up back path near the garage and side panel by the office. Both cameras had been glitching for a week. I'd flagged one already. Ticket number A214 on my clipboard. She flipped through my clipboard and found it herself. Dated, signed, underlined twice. She sighed like the wind had shifted. Tyler caught me by the side gate on his way to the garage. "You should probably take a few days," he said, not looking at me. I looked straight at him. "Where would I go, Tyler?" "My daughter's toothbrush is down the hall." He flinched like that, hit too close. Didn't answer. Emily came home and saw my face before I could fake a smile. She sat at the little table with her Chromebook and didn't say anything for a minute. "Are we leaving?" she asked finally. "No," I said. "We didn't do anything wrong and we're not sneaking out like we did." She nodded, then pulled up a new spreadsheet, columns, times, names. Laura didn't say much either. She met me by the pool at dusk, handed me a sealed envelope. "Just for the day," she said. "Budget card and office access." "Hold off." "Understood," I said. "We both live here," she added. Don't make me choose badly." I kept my voice even. "I won't." Vanessa passed me on the way back to the guest house. She reached out, touched my arm like she'd earned the right. "Takes a real man to give a watch back," Vanessa said. I stepped away, no words. That night, Emily stayed up with her laptop legs crossed, eyes focused. I watched her pull up gate logs, check timestamps, compare with the pool guy's text. "Dad," she said, pointing. "The pool guy said he came at 9:28, but the gate log says 9:05. "You sure?" She nodded, pulled up screenshots, color-coded the differences. Time drift or someone's lying. Either way, it matters. She's 14 and already better at this than people twice her age. I made her a hot cocoa and said nothing. Just watched the numbers on the screen line up like truth waiting to be seen. I was fixing the pool light wiring when Tyler walked up. No swagger, no hoodie, just dragging his flip-flops on the driveway like they weighed 40 pounds each. He stopped a few feet away and stared at the ground. "She wanted my login," he said finally to the trust portal. "Said she just wanted to see the statements." I didn't say anything. Let the silence sit on him a second. "I didn't give it to her." "Not really," he added, "but I took a screenshot. Just one page." I stood up. "Why?" He scratched his wrist, avoided my eyes. "She found emails, old ones. My mom's from right after Dad died. She saw them on the iPad. Said she'd post them if I didn't give her something." There it was. Not just a mess. Leverage. Emotional blackmail wrapped in glitter and heels. "Do it again," I said, calm but firm, "and it's not just your mom's problem. It becomes mine." He nodded like he understood the line he'd crossed. That week, $1,950 went missing from his smaller personal account. Reference line on the transaction. Breeze Palm Beach campaign, some kind of social media push. Tyler swore he didn't authorize it. I pulled up my notes and went back to what I knew. Timelines, access logs, digital footprints. Found a failed login attempt on the trust portal at 2:41 a.m., right after a TikTok post dropped from Vanessa's club handle. I didn't believe in coincidences. Patterns always show themselves. You just have to look long enough. Emily offered to help. She brought her Chromebook and started building a grid, timestamps, devices, gate pings, camera outages, app notifications. She color-coded everything. She added tiny sunflower icons next to the events that weren't awful, like greenhouse humidity restored, and found Mom's sunglasses. I didn't ask why, but I was glad they were there. Laura came out to the patio and watched us for a few minutes without saying anything. "Who taught you to lay out problems like this?" Laura finally asked. "Overnight inbound trucks," I said. "You miss one barcode scan, 6 pallets vanish in a Target somewhere." She looked down at Emily's spreadsheet and smiled with just her eyes. Good skill set, useful. Around that same time, Vanessa started acting like she was interviewing for a promotion. She wore perfume like armor, floated into the office with fake curiosity and practiced interest. She asked Laura about yacht consignment documents, how storage contracts were handled, who notarized what. Laura answered only what she had to, nothing extra. Then Rick showed up again, clipboard in hand, sunglasses tilted just right. He sent an email to Laura and CC'd some city address claiming there was an unpermitted structure near the greenhouse. It was a shelf, a wooden one. I moved it anyway, just to kill the conversation. That afternoon, I was rinsing fertilizer trays behind the pool house when Vanessa found me. "You need to tell Tyler to grow up," she said, blocking the sun. "All this drama over a login, he's being a baby." "Let me guess," I said, not turning. "You need the full login now." She smiled like it was cute. "If he doesn't give it to me, everyone's going to see those grief letters." Not my fault. They're embarrassing. That's when I got angry. I dried my hands, walked to the guest house, and wrote everything down, her words, the time, the tone. Signed it, dated. It made a copy. At dinner, I slid it across the patio table to Laura while she was reading emails on her tablet. She glanced at the page, then looked up at me. "We're done playing nice." That night, Tyler knocked on our door like he was being chased. Emily opened it, and he stepped inside, pacing the rug like it might fall out from under him. "She says, poor without her," he said, voice cracking, but no tears. Emily poured tea without asking. Set the cup down gently. "You're not poor," she said. "But even if you were, that wouldn't be worse than being with someone who wants to own your guilt." He stared at her like she'd just read his mind. I sat down across from him. "Listen to me. Don't delete anything. Screenshots aren't proof. Originals are. Keep breathing. We're going to fix this." He nodded slower this time, less panic, more like someone realizing they still had choices. Emily pulled her laptop over and started building a new tab on the spreadsheet. "What's your login history show?" she asked. "We should line it up with gate logs." Tyler hesitated. "You think I'm dumb?" Tyler asked. "No," Emily said, not even looking up. "I think you were scared. That's not the same." He gave her a grateful half-smile and handed her his phone. I went out to the patio. Laura was sitting on the stone bench under the palm's arms, folded, head tipped back like she was listening to something only she could hear. "She's not just a thief," I said. "She's building a way to drain you. Quietly." "I know," she said. "You still want her here?" "No," she replied. "But I want proof airtight before I cut her loose. I don't do drama. I do documents. Then you'll have them." She didn't answer. Just nodded once and stayed where she was, still and unreadable. Inside, Tyler and Emily were side by side on the sofa, phones, spreadsheets, and open tabs everywhere. My kid looked like she was prepping for a deposition. Tyler looked like someone who finally figured out what side of the line he wanted to stand on. Emily was at the kitchen counter working on some history assignment when she looked up and asked, "Can I use Tyler's laptop for the project? Mine keeps freezing when I scroll." "Ask him," I said, slicing through irrigation invoices. "It's his call." She crossed the patio barefoot and knocked on the side door. Tyler tossed the laptop to her like it was a gym towel. "Don't break my tab, groups," he said, half joking. 10 minutes later, I heard my name, low and serious. Emily stood in the guest house doorway, pale-faced, finger over her lips. I followed her inside. She turned the screen toward me. Vanessa's iMessage thread was open, pinned, no passcode, just sitting there like she'd never expected anyone to look. The first few messages were vanity bottle photos, club emojis. Some guy tagged Marco, hyping a Friday set list. Then I saw it, a photo of a handwritten letter, yellowed paper, familiar script ink faded at the edges. It was Laura's late husband's writing. The date in the corner proved it. Over a decade old. The background was clear. Laura's office desk, marble edge visible. Time-stamped 1:37 a.m. Underneath it, Marco had replied, "Need original. Buyer says $14K if clean. Once before boat show." Then Vanessa's reply. "Key tonight. Boy too soft. Well, say Gardner tipped me." Emily's hands were shaking. Mine weren't. I reached into my back pocket, pulled out my phone, and took a photo of the screen with the laptop beside it for scale and timestamp. "Close it," I said. "You don't need to read the rest." She nodded and powered it down. I kissed the top of her head and pointed to the book nook. "Go read. This part's not yours." When Tyler came in 5 minutes later, he saw our faces and froze. "What happened?" I didn't say a word. I just opened the thread again and showed him 2 screenshots. He stared for a long time. Then he sat down hard on the rug like someone had unplugged him. "She said it was for my future," he muttered. "People invest all the time. This would pay off." I didn't answer. I knew better than to offer him comfort before he earned his way out. I walked straight to Laura, who was sorting yacht schedules in the office. I handed her my phone and said, "You need to see this." She read every word without blinking, then looked up. "Where's the original?" "Still in your drawer, I hope," I said. She poured coffee, not for me, not for herself, just a habit when she needed a second. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed. "Monica," she said. "It's time. Audit protocols start tonight." An hour later, a woman with a government posture and a no-nonsense walk stepped into the study. Tall, sharp suit ponytail tight enough to bounce a quarter off. "Monica," she said, not offering a hand. "You'll need 5 minutes on every connected device router access and a clean spot to work." She ghosted through the office like she'd been there before, pulling device audits, pinging the MAC addresses, checking the DNS logs. She didn't explain anything. She just read the patterns. 2 access attempts from an iPhone 13, she said finally. One at 1:37, another at 1:42, both from the northwest corner of the house. Not the gardener's device. Laura crossed her arms. "Set a trap. I want a decoy in the top drawer. Let's see who can't help themselves." That night I checked every hinge in the office, tightened the ones that whined, oiled the ones that stuck. I adjusted the doorframe camera 5 degrees to catch hands near the drawer handle. Vanessa walked past in a silk wrap and paused under the ladder. "Handyman now?" she asked, sipping from a wine tumbler. "I've been called worse," I said without looking down. Rick showed up like he smelled tension through the hedge measuring tape in hand, fake smiling. "That trellis looks a little offset back there. You got a site map, I didn't take the bait. Talk to the main house. Just asking a question," he said, "and I'm giving you the answer." He walked off empty-handed. No drama, no audience. Later that night, Emily came out of her room in socks and slipped something into my shirt pocket. I reached in and pulled out a folded note. "We're the good guys. Don't forget." I didn't say anything, just kept the note there close to my heart. Tyler was quiet all evening. Didn't touch his phone. Just sat at the end of the dock with his feet in the water, eyes on the canal like it could explain how he'd gotten here. Laura stepped onto the patio and looked at the house like it had lied to her. She knew that letter was private. "He never even let me frame it," she said. "Said it was just for me." She tried to sell it like it was hers. "You ready to press charges if it comes to that?" I asked. "Not yet," she said. "But I will be. I want the whole story. No questions left open. She's not going to stop on her own." "I know." Monica came back at midnight with a portable hard drive and a folder of access logs. "We can ID the phone," she said. Vanessa's matched her Bluetooth footprint from 3 earlier events. Laura didn't even blink. "Tomorrow." We bait the drawer and let her walk right into it. We shook on it quiet, no promises, just a plan. I slept terribly that night. Emily curled up on the couch, laptop still glowing, spreadsheet open. She'd added a new column for evidence confirmed. The sunflower icons were fewer now, but still there. Monica ran point like she'd done it in war zones. She set up her laptop in the office, strung cables through the hall, and walked me through the operation like it was a drill. We're logging keystrokes on the iMac. I've mirrored gate access to my laptop. Temporary camera above the office door, movement only. That drawer stays sealed unless it's bait. Her voice didn't rise. Her hands didn't shake. You could tell she'd been paid real money by people who needed results, not explanations. Laura pulled me aside before she left for her morning calls. "Run the property like it's any other day, nothing different. And send Tyler with you to trim the hibiscus by the west wall. Keep him out of the line of fire," I asked. "Keep him busy," she said. I found Tyler by the garage tightening his shoelaces and pretending he hadn't been avoiding everything for 2 days. "Gloves, trimmers?" "We've got growth on the west wall," I told him. He didn't argue, just grabbed his gear and followed. We worked quietly, shoulder to shoulder, the smell of sap thick in the air. I let him take the lead on a couple cuts, clean lines, slow hands. He was learning. No wasted motion. I didn't say it out loud, but I noticed. Back in the house, Vanessa floated through the kitchen like she owned the floor plan. Vanessa moved through the kitchen in her silk robe, glass of juice in hand, not a trace of stress on her face. She scrolled with one hand, stared at her reflection in the microwave with the other. Every time she passed the office door, her eyes flicked toward it like it owed her money. She didn't even try to hide it. The drawer might as well have been humming. At exactly 2:26 p.m., the sensor pinged. Monica's monitor lit up like Christmas. "Office door open and close," she said, calm, clicking keys. I stepped into the hallway and saw Vanessa coming out, hair a little mussed, phone screen turned face down. She didn't say anything, just walked past like she had better things to do. Monica called me over. 3 minutes inside. Phone light on. Drawer opened. No gloves. She took her sweet time. "Sloppy," I muttered. "Greedy," Monica said. "Greed makes people slow." Laura stayed cool, didn't storm out, didn't throw accusations. She disappeared into her closet for 15 minutes and came out in a navy blazer, heels, and a calm that felt colder than air conditioning. Later she told Monica, somewhere public, "I want her to lie in front of people, makes cleanup easier." Tyler and I were rinsing tools when he asked, "You ever feel stupid about a woman?" More than once I said, "What matters is what you do after you learn." He nodded slowly. That truth hit him right in the center. Rick showed up around 4 with a clipboard and a tape measure, trying to look official again. He hovered around the hibiscus line, pretending to log something on a folded city printout. Monica walked past him without blinking, laptop in one hand, evidence bag in the other. He took one look and went back across the canal, like the HOA wasn't paying him enough for this. Emily was at the fence near the guest house, planting her sunflower seeds in a neat little row. She had her sleeves rolled up and dirt under her nails. I passed by on my way to the shed, and she looked up. "Do plants hear moods?" she asked. "Why, they seem happier when you and Laura talk." I didn't have a good answer, just ruffled her hair and kept walking. Later that evening, Laura handed me a folder, not light reading. Vendor service bids, storm prep quotes, handwritten notes in her husband's script. There were dates, initials, highlighted margins. Not for show for someone who could organize real things. "You're the only one keeping this place running on paper," she said. "Make me a calendar through hurricane season," Laura said. "I want to know what happens if I break my leg or go out of town for a week." "I'll have it by Friday," I said, meaning it. She nodded once and didn't say thank you. I didn't need her to. That night I was pulling gate reports when Vanessa's name lit up on my alerts. She'd posted a story on her social feed club tag, Breeze Palm Beach, 10:11 p.m. Bottle sparklers, some guy's arm around her waist. She was laughing like her whole world was made of confetti and receipts. Monica walked into the office behind me, sipping something green and mean out of a thermos. First time all week I saw her smile. "Tomorrow," she said, resting her elbow on the counter. "We do this tomorrow morning. Public setting, clean execution. You good?" I gave her a nod. "Get some rest," she added. "You'll want to look like you belong on the property when this thing blows." "Appreciate that," I said. Outside the yard, lights flicked on in slow order, casting long shadows across the caladium beds. Tyler was still out there clipping edges in near dark. He wasn't doing it for show. He just needed the quiet. Laura stepped out onto the balcony, wine glass in one hand, folder in the other. She saw me standing under the pergola and didn't wave, didn't smile, just nodded once. We were all pulling in the same direction now. Finally, the marina looked like a catalog page, white hulls gleaming in the sun, chrome railings polished until you could shave in them. Laura hosted a charity open house for a youth sailing program, silent auction yacht tours, small bites on bamboo plates, linen everywhere, even the napkins. Monica blended into the background in a black blazer and sunglasses. I stayed on the edges in a clean work shirt and kept one eye on the admin building. By then, the collector's clock was at hour 91. They'd said 96. Fine. Let them come. Let them see us standing in the daylight with nothing to hide. At 10:39, Vanessa breezed in, all bronzed skin and confidence, Tyler in tow like a personal assistant. She wore a champagne-colored dress that barely blinked when the breeze hit it. She kissed Tyler on the cheek like he was staff and kept walking. I saw him flinch, just a little. Laura took the mic on the main dock platform and welcomed the guests. Firm voice, no script, no stumbles. We believe kids belong on the water not because it's luxurious, but because it teaches them things no screen can. Polite applause followed. Tyler stood off to the side, hands in his pockets, eyes flicking between his phone and Vanessa. He didn't say a word. Monica gave me the nod, small sharp. The decoy letter was in place inside the admin office desk, mirrored to a sensor. If the drawer opened, our phones would buzz. Simple, clean. At 11:23, mine buzzed. Tyler looked down at his own screen, then up at me, eyes wide. He didn't need instruction. We both started walking. The admin door was cracked but not open. I pushed it gently and found Vanessa inside, crouched near the desk with her purse open and a slim envelope in her hand. Her phone glowed on the counter next to her. Looking for the restroom, I asked, keeping my voice flat. She jerked upright, but the smile came slow. Too slow. Oh, I was just... Laura stepped in behind me with Monica. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't flinch. "Vanessa," she said. "Please, place your purse on the desk." Vanessa squared her shoulders. "You can't search me." "Correct," Laura said. "Security can. They're outside." Vanessa's mouth twitched, but she knew the game was over. She set the purse down and stepped back. Monica pulled on gloves and emptied the contents like she was unpacking a crime scene. One duplicate key, brass tag stamped DUP. One thumb drive labeled Trust. 3 printed screenshots of Laura's husband's letter. 2 photos of the original. Phone metadata still embedded. Tyler went pale. His voice cracked. "You said Vanessa didn't let him finish." "You're nothing without me," she snapped. "You have no idea how this world works." She turned to me, tried to lock eyes. He told me where the key was. I shook my head once, not for her just to close the book on that lie. Monica stepped in. She opened her tablet and tapped the screen. Access log from iPhone 13. Entry at 1:37 a.m. Matching photo metadata of the letter. Video clip from 2 to 26 p.m. Shows drawer opened, phone light on, no gloves, no authorization. Laura's voice stayed even. Not cold, just finished. "You'll return what isn't yours," she said. "You'll sign reimbursement for $1,950 in legal fees, and you'll leave. If not, I press charges now." Vanessa opened her mouth again, but no sound came out. Her confidence cracked. Then the door swung open one more time. A man in a white linen shirt stepped in with the easy swagger of a club promoter. Marco, the club guy, probably the one behind the boat show buyer nonsense. He scanned the room like he was still looking for bottle service. "Excuse me," he said. "I'm looking for someone." Laura didn't blink. "You found the wrong room." Security stepped up behind him. Monica held up her phone. "Photo, please. And license plate." They took both as he got turned around and walked out. Outside the marina gate, another storm cloud was waiting. 2 collectors in sunglasses leaned against a black sedan. They spotted me the second I stepped out. "Clock's almost up, Mike," one of them said. "Better have something for us." Laura's attorney, he'd been sipping white wine near the silent auction, walked up and slipped between me and the gate like it was nothing. Names, he said, calm but firm. Now, the tall one laughed. "And you are counsel for the event host," the attorney replied, calm and sharp. "You're attempting to collect a non-judgmental debt in public, threatening a guest and his minor child. That's harassment under Florida law. One more word and you'll have a citation in your hand and a court date by Monday." The men looked at each other. One nodded. They got in the car and pulled away without a sound. I stood there while Laura's attorney typed something on his phone. "Thanks," I said. "I'm good at parties," he said, not looking up. Back near the dock, Tyler stood with his back to the water, fists jammed into his pockets, shoulders tight. I gave him space. He sniffed hard, once wiped at his face, and stared at the horizon like he was asking it for answers. I turned to the closest sailboat and studied its lines. Some things a man deserves to do without an audience. Vanessa signed the reimbursement agreement like she was tipping a valet. Her signature was blocky, half done like she didn't read the page, just scribbled and walked. She left before sunrise with 2 suitcases, no goodbyes, and not a single glance backward. Good. Let her start over somewhere else far from this yard. Tyler blocked her number and didn't say much after that. He sat on the steps with Laura for almost an hour that morning. Neither of them talking, just drinking coffee and watching the sun come up through the palms. Sometimes silence is the only thing people trust. Monica wrapped the audit cleanly, no fluff, just facts. Attempted access, physical theft, outside actor. I got a copy for my own records, 3-hole punched, dated. I slipped it into a folder and stuffed it under a stack of mulch invoices in the shed where I kept anything that mattered. Laura called me into the office around lunchtime and slid my grounds card back across the desk. "Back in your hands," she said. "Don't make me regret it." I won, I said, and I meant it. Tyler showed up next to me at the tool rack the next morning in boots and a faded concert tee. He pulled on gloves like he'd done it before. "Teach me the right way to edge a bed," he said. So I did. I taught Tyler the way my old foreman taught me back in 2010. Slow, deliberate, shallow cuts at the edge. Not too deep or you make a mess. Let the blade glide. Let the line tell the story. Emily came outside with a sweating glass of lemonade and said, "Tyler, your lines look clean." He smiled real wide, first time in days. Sun on his face, sweat on his brow, and for once he looked like a kid again, instead of a headline waiting to drop. That afternoon I knocked on Laura's office door and pitched her an idea. The walk under the Royal Palms North path near the generator shed. It's got dead space. I think it could be a memorial spot. She tilted her head. "We line it with white caladium and bougainvillea. Maybe a bench. Brass plate if you want." She stood there a second, hands in her pockets, eyes far away. "He'd have hated a plaque." "Then we don't do a plaque," I said. "We just make it nice." She let out a breath that sounded like it had been stuck in her chest for a year. "Show me." We found the original letter 3 days later, right where Vanessa had stashed it in a zip folder buried in the soil of a planter box outside the office window. She must have panicked and hidden it once the audit started. Laura sat on the bench by the koi pond and read it in silence. When she came back out, her eyes looked softer, less armored. "He wanted me to sell the 2 stores we kept out of sentiment," she said. "Said I was capable of hard things. I think I'm ready now." Later that week, Rick gave it one more go, emailed Laura with a photo of my truck. Said it was lowering the visual standard of the block. She forwarded it to legal with 2 words. "Handle, please." We never heard back. Amber texted Emily again another long-winded story about a missed bus and someone after her. Same number, same pattern. Emily handed me the phone without saying anything. I blocked it. "If she wants us," I said, "she knows where we live now." Tyler was knee-deep in soil that day, sweat soaked through his shirt gloves, torn at the thumbs. He looked over while we hauled stones to the path. "You going to stay, Mike?" he asked. I didn't pretend to be surprised. "If your mom wants me to." He nodded once, like that answer sat right. That night, Emily and I sat at the kitchen table with the overhead fan humming and no TV on. I drew the memorial path on graph paper, measuring tape notes, flower placement, bench angle. Emily colored in the plants with her set of highlighters. She picked white for everything. Why, I asked. "Because it's quiet," she said, like it listens. I didn't argue. We both kept drawing. Laura called me into the study, the same room where I'd first stood with a rake in one hand and panic in the other. This time, no tension, just a folder on the desk with my name typed on the tab. She didn't dress it up, didn't ask how I was doing. "I can't give you back the months those men took from you," she said. "But I can give you reasons to stop looking over your shoulder." I opened the folder. Offer letter clean and direct. Title estate and grounds manager. Salary solid enough to make my hands pause. Health insurance starting on the 1st of the month. Housing formalized through hurricane season. My throat went tight before I could say anything. She didn't wait. "I don't need a speech," she said. "Just keep doing what you did at 3:14 a.m. I let out a laugh, short and low. "I can do that." "Good," she said. "Dinner Saturday. Just family, no staff, no guests. Bring your daughter's sunflowers if she'll part with them." I signed the letter right there and handed it back with the pen shed set on top. Later that evening, I walked the new memorial path under the royal palms. The caladium leaves were starting to settle, hearts open wide in the dusk. Bougainvillea reached out like soft lace in the breeze. No sign, no plaque, just space to sit and think without getting stuck. Emily walked beside me, arms folded. "We safe now?" she asked. "Safe enough," I said. "And safer tomorrow." She took my arm the same way she used to when she was 6 and scared of crowds. "I like Laura's straight face," she said. "It makes people tell the truth." "Yeah," I said. "It does that." My phone buzzed. Tyler had sent a photo of the west wall, his new trim lines, clean and even. "Not bad for a rookie," I texted. He sent back a grinning emoji. Kid had earned it. I was putting away the tools when Laura stepped outside barefoot, holding 2 plates. "I don't usually eat outside," she said, setting one down on the patio step beside me. I looked over. "You're welcome to make an exception." She sat, knees pulled up like she hadn't done that in years. "We didn't talk about Vanessa. Didn't say a word about lawyers or audits or court filings. We talked about soil acidity, teak varnish, and the time Tyler tried to use hedge clippers to cut a coaxial cable." "He thought it was a root," she said, shaking her head. "Some roots bite back," I said. She took a bite of steak, chewed slowly, then looked at the new path. Shadows had stretched long across the lawn. "He'd have liked this," Laura said without the plaque. "I figured as much." She stood up, dusted off her hands, and looked at me for a second before placing one hand on my shoulder. A light touch, not a promise, just a moment. "You take your steak medium or medium rare?" she asked. "Medium rare," I said. She nodded. "Good." We both smiled. "We'd earned it. Would you give someone who betrayed your trust a second chance if they swore they'd changed? If this story hit home, leave a comment, say what you do, or just write "great story." And please don't forget to like and subscribe. It means a lot to us, and for you, it's just one click. YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.